Hey guys, and welcome to my YouTube video. And in today's video we will be learning how to make a chatting website. I will keep everything basic. What we will be doing in today's video is we will use socket.io, which is a web socket using Node, JavaScript and Express server, and we will have option for the user to have a name, register with the name, more like chat with the name, and then the user can create rooms, and people can join the rooms, and the user himself can join different rooms and send message. All right, this is going to be a basic implementation for now. There's nothing going to be like owner or something like that, right? So first of all, we'll initialize an empty package.json file, and then we will be installing Express, JavaScript and socket.io. These are the two libraries that we need for now. And once we are done, I will be using basic HTML for everything. We will be making a basic server.javascript file and a chat.javascript file that we'll be using on the client side, and I will make a users.json file because I don't want to use database for now. I just want to keep things simple, and chats.json where all the chats are going to be stored. Well, both of them are going to be object based. More like we're gonna have a chat room ID in the chat, it containing all the chats and basically the users and whatever the chat rooms there the users are in. It's going to be kept there. I'm gonna have an index.html chatting website, and here we will be having initially two divs, now one div, and div into two, then two divs in here. So this is going to be our chat box, and this one is going to be our form where we're gonna have adding the username and stuff like that. So ID is going to be chat box. So this main one is going to have a display flex, and the flex direction is going to be row. I want to keep both of them aside, on the left hand side and on the right hand side. Justify content space evenly, and then this is the chat box section. I'm gonna have a style of let's say height is going to be 80 VH. I don't really care about that one. Width is going to be 500 pixel. Should be fine enough. And that's the width. Okay, we're gonna have a border of 1 pixel solid black. I mean, just to know how much space are we having. And then we're gonna have a display flex and flex direction column, because we want to make sure whatever chat is going in this chat box are going to be one in a line, not multiple. So we're gonna keep it in a column so like that, and we're also going to keep the text align on the left hand side just to make sure all the text on the left or from the left, not on the right or something. Okay, that should be fine for now. And in this div, what I want to do is initially enter your name. I'm going to have a div. In this div, I'll be having an input. ID is going to be username main, placeholder your username, and then I'm going to have a button on click set username. It's going to call this set username function, and the set username like that. That's our main first div. Style display flex direction column. I want to make sure they are on top, like in a column thing. Join room, join room name, and join room. Okay, that's about the joining the room thing, and creating the room is pretty much similar to that. create room name, and create room name. All right, makes sense. And then finally, your message. Your message. I'm gonna keep this in a text area because we never know how much. Let's see how many texts the user want to send. Send message. We can also have an option for leaving the room, but that's just up to you, right? We can create that option also. Doesn't really matter. Okay, for now we have introduced these basic things in here. Let's set up our server. So first of all, we'll import all these necessary libraries. We need our Express JavaScript, and then we need the socket IO also. Socket, and then we need the FS file system because we're dealing with the JSON files. And then I also need HTTP. Well, we use HTTP basically to create a server. I mean, we will be using Express as our main API calling server and all that stuff, but we use HTTP. We use this HTTP module when we're dealing with the sockets. I will show you why. You can see defining the function of Express in an app. And now, first of all, let's say app.use express.static and our current directory name. So we will be serving this index.html file directly from the backend on the /route question response. I want to say response.send file. Okay, send file path is going to be directory / index.html. So it's going to send this index.html file, and then I want to say constant server is equals to http.create server app. So I need this server when you're going to make a WebSocket. You will need to do http.create server and put the app variable in here. Make sure, like, if you're dealing with the routes and all that stuff, keep it all on the top, and after you're done with that stuff, define the server variable, because you don't want to, like, define any other routes after you have created this HTTP server, because you're going to listen on this server. You're not going to listen on app. You're not going to do app.listen. You will be just doing server.listen, because we're going to define this IO variable for the WebSocket, and we want to make sure that our WebSocket is connected with our actual Express server. So this http.create server helps doing that. So now you can just say here is socket IO and give it the value of server. That's it. Now we can deal with both things. So for now, let's say server.listen on port 3000. So we should be good to go initially. This is the very beginning of the whole thing. Node server. And let's see, localhost 3000. All right, so this is our basic chatting website. This is our chat box, and this is going to be our name and all that stuff that we're going to be keeping. Well, you can see the things are not looking very good, but initially for like the setup and whole thing, it's fine. Now let's start actually coding the thing. So first of all, we'll be doing io.on connection. It will return as a socket. So this io.on connection is user making the socket connection. Socket is basically that user's connection. So the socket has a socket.id, which is basically the connection of a specific user. So whenever some user will make a connection to our socket, this function will trigger, and this socket is basically the socket of that specific connection that we are getting, right? I will make things much more clearer once I'm done with the basic stuff. So let's say initially I want to have a feature that I will be able to make sure, like, register a new user, maybe like update the users and stuff like that here. So for that, first I'll say users is equal to JSON.parse fs.read file synchronously users.json. If it does not exist, then have an empty object. And same will go for the, so this is the users thing. Or I can do one thing. I can define it as a function like that, and it's going to return this latest thing all the time. I think, yeah, that should work fine too. And this is going to be chats. All right. So these are like, either if there's no value in here or this doesn't exist, then it's going to have an empty object value. So when I have socket.on set name, and then we get the data from the user. So basically this data is whatever the user is providing to us. It could be a JSON, it could be in JSON format, in whatever format. We will only be taking it as data, right? Or I can just name it as name also. Doesn't really matter. So here, the user is providing us a name by, calling on this set name socket. So this socket is basically the user specific, right? This socket will not actually work for all of them, or like everyone else. This will only work for the people who have already made the connection to the socket here. You can see that they have made a connection to the socket. So now they can make requests in here, like set name and stuff like that. So basically, this is basically selecting a specific user. All right. I will make things much more clear once we get a little bit more further in the stuff. So first of all, we'll make sure that that this thing does not actually exist. So we'll say if user's name already exists, then what we want to do is return socket. So now what I'm going to do, how will the user know that this username is already registered or something like that, something similar to that, right? How will the user know? We will let them know. How is that going to be possible? Well, basically we'll say socket.emit error, and the error message is going to be username already taken. So what we are doing is, well, basically socket.on is you're listening to events happening on this set name, and socket.emit is you are sending some new message on this event, on this on this error event. So if we're listening, if we're in the chat.javascript, we are listening to socket.on error. If you're listening to that specific thing, then what's going to happen is going to see like this error is not going to be sent to the everyone else. It's not going to get sent to the everyone else on the server, but it's only going to get sent to you, because here I told you this socket is unique, and it's unique for each and every person. Like, because if you're going to do console log socket.id, then you're going to have a very unique ID for each socket connection that was made to the Node.js server initially when the user opened the website, and when the user will refresh or close the website, the socket ID will change and user will be given a new socket ID. So that's how it initially works, right? So we are going to give an error, and we're gonna alert. We're gonna alert this error. We're gonna use alert and then show this error in there, right? Just to let us obviously know that, yeah, this is the issue. Well, usually you're not going to use alert anymore because we have the notification on Tailwind JavaScript and all the Tailwind CSS and all that stuff. But yeah, this is how we can, like, by default show things simply. I'm gonna keep things much more quick. So if it doesn't exist, then do that. Otherwise, when I have a name is equals to, so what I want to do is I want to have room ID. Room ID is initially going to be empty, and we're going to have a socket ID, which is going to be a socket.id. So what am I doing actually, right? You might be asking. Well, having a socket.id in here is not actually necessary, but like just to show that this user has disconnected, like this user has disconnected from the chat room, just to show that one single thing, we can keep the socket ID here. Well, I've not really tested out if this actually works or not, but still, I'm going to keep it there. And why keep room ID? Well, room ID will keep track of like in which room you're actually in right now. So if you refresh the browser, it's not going to be like your room is gone, or like you restarted the server, your room should not be gone. If you join some room, you should stay in that room, all right? Because this all history will be saved in this chat.json. So that's the thing right there. Username and stuff. All right. Constant update. update is going to equals to type, and then we're gonna have the value. So if type is equal to users, then what I want to do is I want to say fs.write file synchronously, or just write file underscore directory. Not really need to do that because I'm not using some VPS or something like that server. So users.json and the value json.stringify value. Oh, I can make it even more simpler. I can just keep it like that and type. Okay. Now here I can just say update, and at the end we need to have a callback function. Just keep it empty like that. Don't really care about that. Update is gonna be users, and this is the user's latest value. So we're updating the users, and this is just for the. All right. Once we're done with that, I'm gonna say socket.emit success. User has been registered. So this is just the initial setup. Now what I want to do here is connect over socket.io in here. I'm going to say slash socket.io slash socket.io.javascript. Well, you need to probably use probably what you will be needing to do is make a specific connection to the socket.io, to the socket JavaScript, or like use some CDNs and stuff like that. But in our case, I don't really need to do that because we are hosting the same thing on we're serving the index.html on the node JavaScript itself. So you can just do slash socket.io and then slash socket.io.javascript and accessing the JavaScript of socket.io, and then initialize a new socket, right? So what do we do now? Well, now I'm gonna say script another time JavaScript in chat. Constant io is equals to. As you can see, we already have access to socket and all that stuff. Oh, no. Wait a minute. What are we actually supposed to do? Kind of just went off to my head. Wait. So I don't think we're just defining like that. We have access to the socket IO, right? Oh, okay. So I can just say maybe like socket is going to be equals to IO. Okay, that's it. So also let's say chat box get element by ID, document.get element by ID, chat box. Okay, these two things should be fine, and then constant set name if I'm not wrong. Set username. Right, and then set username is going to have a constant username. All right, I assume it's going to be unique, right? It is going to be unique actually, this username main. So I can rather say socket.emit on set name and setting the username.value. And also what we're going to do here is socket.on success msg alert that message goes for the error. All right, let's see. No error so far. Test. All right, something happened. Visit upstream. Received undefined. Looks like we don't got the value of this thing. constant username is going to be equals to document.get element by id. Alrighty. Again. Proceed undefined. Alright. I don't think this was the issue. 16. Proceed undefined. JSON.stringify. Oh, I don't actually need to give it the value because stringify if type is going to be equals to users, then users, otherwise chat. Whoops. All right. Wait a minute. 16. The data must be type of string or received undefined. Ah. My bad. Okay, I know what's the issue. It's actually a function, right? Getting the latest value stuff. Let's not make it function then anymore. It's gonna be problematic. Alright, let's just be a little bit quick. Test user has been registered. Let's try it again. User name already taken. That's good. Let's look at the users.json, and yeah, it works pretty fine. Okay, let's code at the things real quick now. So that was about the set name. Now we need to work on the creating the room and making the user join a room. It's not going to be difficult. It's going to be simple. So I'm going to have first of all socket on, join room, and then we'll be getting the data. We need to get some data from the user. Well, what I need from the user is basically I need the user's username, and I need the room ID. I can just say I need the room. So that's about joining the room, and then we'll have another one for creating the room. Well, I do need the username and the room for creating the room also. And then what else do I need here? Any other options that we may need to add? Yeah. Socket on. Disconnect. Doesn't really matter, to be honest, what we're gonna put here. But still, like, if you want to keep it there, you can keep it there. There's nothing specific like that. Alright, let's get started first of all with the join the room. So what I want to do is first of all I want to confirm if the room actually exists or not. Also I want to confirm if the user has registered yet or not. So I'm going to say if not users username, or if not chats the room ID, If any of these does not exist, then what I want to do is return socket.emit user chat not found. Okay. But now we're saying it does exist. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say username dot room ID is going to be equals to our room, and chats having the room push. What we want to push it here. I'm gonna say user. It's going to be a username, and I'm gonna have a message. It's gonna be has joined the room. Right? What would that be? Has joined the room. I'm gonna keep it as default. And here I'm gonna keep username plus has joined the room. So this is more like going to be system sending the message. And I'm gonna have an update for the users, an update for the chats. All right. After updating both the chats and the user, I'm gonna say socket.emit new message. Well, this is going to be a message that we want to send to the users in the room. Also, I want to show you something else also. Constant message is going to be equal to this. So rather than saying all this garbage, I'm going to say message. And once you join a room, you need to use socket.join that room. You need to join this room specific socket because all the messages are going to be sent in that specific room. And here I'm going to say io.to dot room, the new message. And the new message is going to be our message. So you can here also do socket.to, but when you do socket.to, the message will not be will not be shown in your own screen. It will rather be, updated for everyone else in that specific room, because you're sending a message to this specific room, and people who have joined this specific room will only receive this message in the new message event listener, right? So this is the basic logic of the thing. This is what happens when you join a room. And also, just to mention, when you join a room, you're gonna do socket.emit chat history. I want to get the chat history also, right? So chats of the room. I want to get all the chats of the room. So I'm gonna send all the chat of the room information to chat history, which I can just go here and I can say socket.on chat history. I can get all the messages here, and I can deal with all the messages here. So how I will be dealing with all of them is basically do chatbox.inner HTML is going to be equals to our message.map, and here I can just keep it like that, and you can say if e.user is going to be equal to default, because we're saying by default is whatever the system is telling us about. So whenever this is equal to default, what I want to do is during that time I have a span tag like that. I'm gonna say e.message, just basically like that, because we don't want to say like who sent this and all whatever. But if that's not the case, I'm gonna say e.user and the respect message. All right, and we want to say .join like that, because we don't want to see colon comma, as it should have been written as an array, but we are joining the array, and we have already set it up, like we're already making sure in the chat box that everything is in colon, so we will be only seeing one span element in one colon. All right. Also socket.on new message. You get the message. System is kind of similar to this one, but not really having message or stuff like that. All right. Rather, it's going to be message e.message, or rather message.message, message, and here we're going to have a plus equals to, not equals to, right? So that's about new message. This is chat history, and the below was set username. So join room is done. Now let's work on the create room, which is pretty similar to join room. Not found or chat exist. Created the room plus the room name, whatever the room name could be. So let allow them to join the room and push the message, users, chat, and the new message, and then the chat history. Well, not really. We don't need the chat history when we're creating a room because that chat is going to be empty by default. Right. So set name, join room, create room, and then send message. So socket.on, send message. Here we're gonna have the username and the text that he will be sending. If username doesn't exist, or if we want to make sure the user is not in any chats, or if users username dot room ID, if that chat doesn't exist, then I want to return with the error. But if it does, then what I want to do is text, rather than having default, I want to have here the username of the person. Room ID will not be changed. We're not actually joining on these any rooms. We are going to push the message. We're not updating the user. No, we are updating the chat. We are going to, yeah, emit the new message. We don't need the chat history in this case. All right. I hope this makes sense. One second, let me check. Dot push, update the chats, send the new message to that room. New message, right? Okay. Also about this success thing. Success. You join the room. You join room. Here. You have created the room. And I don't want to irritate the user by telling them the text they have sent, right? Keep the disconnect as it is for now. And let's work on this thing right there. And let's get all these functions that we're gonna use. Join room name, no, join room, create room, and send message. Send message. Join room. Constant. One second. Create room, constant. Send message. So for the join room, I'm going to say constant, not actually constant, but rather I can just do one thing. Is you can add additional filtration here, like making sure the value is not empty or stuff like that, but we're not going to do that. So I'm going to say socket.emit. I'm going to send the join room on the join room, and we will be sending our username, right? Our username. So let's do one thing. Constant User is going to be a function. It's going to get the data from the get item name. And whenever we set a new username, I'm going to say local storage.set item. Name is going to be our username.main.value. Okay. So user is basically equal to this value. And then I have the room. Well, the room value is going to be room name, join room name dot value, and then we're gonna have, I mean, that's gonna be by default happening. Right. Create room dot value, and once I've created the room, I don't think I need to do anything else here. And then we have the send message dot value. This is going to be text, and whatever the text be, right? Send message, and looks good to me. But also, if we refresh the page, the join room will go just boom. It will just disappear. I don't want that to happen, right? I don't think anyone wants that to happen. So I'm gonna say if local storage.get item room exists, I'm gonna say join room local storage.get item. Give it the value of the room. So val if val if val exists, by default going to be false. And keep it val, otherwise keep it join room.value. So it's gonna make sure, like, when we refresh the page, okay, yeah. But once we do that, so want to keep another thing in mind is local storage dot set item. If you're joining some room is going to be there. If val exists, then val, otherwise yeah, we should have I just create room value here, not join room value, because yeah, because when you're creating some room, it should be kept like that. Anyways, what now? Send message, is that it? Is this the basic setup? Well, I would assume this to be the basic setup, but it depends if it works or not. Elderny, set username, user has been registered. Test, user or chat not found. Create a room with the name of test. Alright, it not worked. Okay, that's capital. Interesting. I don't know if that capital, making things capital would actually make sense. Test, user not found or the chat not found. Alright, let's just do it for the sake of code. Start it once again. Test, username has been registered. Create a room with the name of test. Or chat not found. But chats is empty. How did the thing even got there? Oh wait, we need to keep the username first. I see. Yeah, I'm keeping the username first, to be honest. Maybe the function is not the greatest thing to use. Once the user is going to be like that. Oh yeah, I got the issue. It's basically, you need to keep it as username. Okay, let's see. Test. User has been registered. Create a room with the name of test. Something happened. Room push. Cannot read properties of undefined reading push. Alright. Oh, well, but I initially create that chat room section, right? What am I pushing at, right? We don't know if it's an array or something like that. So here, initially I'm gonna make it an array. Yeah, I need to make it an array. Okay, now everything should be fixed. At least that's what I hope. Test, user has been created. Room test, you have created test. So you can see the room test has been successfully created. Let's send a message. Test. So Michelle will sending message. Room is not defined. Alright, send message. We having the username and the text. Send message, we having the username and the text. Room is not defined. Yeah, we never defined the room. How bad. Constant room is going to be equals to username and the room ID. So this is where the user has actually joined, and this is his room ID. This is a socket ID which keeps updating all the time. Damn you, socket ID. Alright, let's just do one thing. You have joined test. As you can see, test has... Okay, never mind. Test has joined the room. And that is me. Hello. I can just say hi. Okay, the message has been successfully sent. And I'm really looking forward to it. Let's create another local host. Username Elderny. User has been created. Join the room of me test 1. Does not exist. That makes sense. Let's suppose join test. I joined test. Alright, Elderny has joined the room. Now Elderny says hi. Elderny says hi, right? Why? And then he say why? And I'm gonna create another room. It's gonna be test 1. Create a room. You created test 1. Created the room test 1. Alright, that's interesting. When I create a new room. Okay, yeah, let me just do that. It's gonna make sure that things actually work as I expect them to work. And this. And also let's do one thing about the socket ID. Is I want to make sure to get the user's latest socket ID. Maybe we can just do users before updating. No, not sending the message. That's going to be too much. So when the user joins the room and users, the username, whatever that is, dot socket ID is going to be equal to socket ID. And here, when we are trying to disconnect the user, what I want to do is I want to say object.keys users dot filter e is our key basically, so where users e dot socket ID is equals to socket.id. I want to return that, so I want to say console.log that specific damn user. He joined test1. Okay, test got logged here, but what about the other person here? Empty. He basically had no. All right, now it showed up as Elderny. Constant user selected is going to be equal to that. If user selected the length is greater than 0, then I want to proceed is username is going to be equals to user selected 0, and then constant room will be equals to the chats and username dot room ID, and then I can basically just say socket.to room dot emit the message, and the message is basically going to be constant message is equals to user will be default, and the message should be some like username has disconnected. Emit the message. I'm going to say chats room dot push the message, update the chats, and yeah, that should be it. That should be fine. I can also do this. Doesn't really matter, does it? Okay, let's see. The push. Can I read the properties of undefined reading push? Undefined. Interesting. And also, when we join the room, when I join the room, stop telling me this. Yeah, kind of irritating, honestly. Okay. Elderny. Yeah, Elderny works fine. Users, username, dot room ID. Oh, why am I selecting that? This is the room ID. Basically, yeah. Because if I'm selecting that, then it will return an empty array. That doesn't really make sense, does it? It does not. So what I'll be doing is keep it all empty like that. Which room? Test. Right. Which room are you in? You're in room test 1. Join room test. Elderny has joined the room. Elderny has disconnected and Elderny has joined the room, but this one did not got informed about that one. That's okay. New message, my bad. Lol. Alright. I think it's finally time when we're done with the whole stuff. Refresh, refresh. L test has disconnected, and that is me. I've connected back. Let's see. Elderny has disconnected, and Elderny has joined back. Makes sense. Yeah. How about I create my own room? Test 1. Yeah, create room test 1. So this is room test 1. Hey, and you can see the text has been sent to room text 1. And also forgot to do one thing. When you're joining some new room, you need to make sure to leave the old socket, right? So basically, if user's username, the room ID exists, and string of users username dot room ID, the length is greater than 0, then what I want to do is socket dot leave that user's username dot room ID, because we're going to join a new room, so we'll need to leave that one. Same thing happens here. So what I'm initially doing is I'm saying if I've already joined some soccer room, because here when I'm creating a new room or I'm joining a new room, I'm just saying socket.join. I may actually join a new room, but there are possibilities that it could send a message to the old room also, because you have not left that room yet. So yeah, that's how that goes. Okay, time for the final testing. What I will be doing right now is remove everything. God damn it. Alright, clean everything. Totally. Okay, that's 1. That's 2. And I'm gonna have Firefox, another one. Just like that. This is gonna be a third one. Okay, let's just do it. So localhost colon 3000. Boom. Does not exist, that's fine. Does not exist, that's fine. This is Elderny 1, set username, user has been registered. Elderny 2, set username, user has been registered. And this is going to be Elderny 3, set username, and he has also been registered. I want to join a room test. Does not exist, fine. I want to create a room. Room 1. Room 1 have successfully been created. Elderny 1 created room 1. I want to join a room, which is going to be room 2. It does not exist, right? Well, let me just join room 1 then. Elderny 2 has joined the room. And they updated me. How about Elderny 3 creates his own room, which is going to be room 2. So Elderny 3 created room 2, right? So this is Elderny 3. Elderny 3 has created his own room. Now here, Elderny 1 and Elderny 2 are texting. They say hello and hi to each other. Hi, how are you? Let them talk with each other. So they two are pretty much having fun, right? Hello, 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 hi, 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 hi. And I also want to make sure, like, keep in mind you can just do value is equal to empty string, and then this value is going to get clean after you're sending the message. So now Elderny 1 does not want to chat with Elderny 2 anymore. Elderny 1 want to join the room 2. He will just do room 2, and boom, Elderny 1 has joined room 2. But what actually happened here? Like, when he did that, okay, you can also implement some kind of system to make sure, like, to update. Yeah. I can definitely do that. 1 second. So when I'm joining the room, if it exists, if we're doing that, I can just say socket to users username constant temp room, like that. Okay, to emit a new message, and the new message is going to be constant message will be equal to user is going to be default in the message. Going to be username has left the room. Also, when I say update it there, send a message here, and down below you can just say chats, wherever the temp room is, push the new message there and update chats, and then I'm going to proceed to leave that room. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah, that does make sense. Fair enough. All right, now okay, it's not getting updated anywhere. That's interesting. Wait, so did something happened here? Yeah. Actually, the whole thing updated. So that makes sense, doesn't it? What I want to do is I want to just delete everything. Keep everything clean again. Whoops. Whoops and whoops. Refresh, and refresh. Now, Elderny 2 is alone in his room, right? And Elderny 1 is in the room of Elderny 2, which is room 2. Now, Elderny 1 want to join the room and back. Join. So as you can see, Elderny 1 has left the room, and Elderny 1 joined this room. Hi, back. More like hello back. Missed me? Nuh-uh, he did not actually miss you. Now, Elderny 3 is being like, that sucks. I'm gonna join room 1 too. And Elderny 1 joins room 1 too with them. Elderny 3 joins room 1 with them. So Elderny 3 is here. Enjoying alone. And then they're like, why are you here? I'm out. Bye. And then Elderny 1 and then Elderny 1 joins room 2 back. So it says Elderny 1 has left the room. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed this one, and I will see you very, very soon in the next video. I'm planning to make a very in detailed login authentication using React JavaScript and MySQL in the backend. So I'll be teaching you everything from the beginning till the end. And also just to keep in mind is we updated the thing here for the joining room section, but the same logic should be implemented in the creating room section, right? When you're creating a new room, you need to make sure that you're leaving the old room, because you cannot stay in two rooms consequently. And what is this? Object.json. Damn. Elderny 2, Elderny 3 is left. What? Wait, 1 second. Okay, that's interesting. Why is object.json even a thing? Okay. It's not getting created like that. Anyways, I think that was an issue or something like that. Have a nice day, guys. Bye bye.